Okay, so this is about Joe Dante versus Robert Zemeckis. Uh, I'll start with the obvious ones. Who Framed Roger Rabbit versus, of course, the original Gremlins. Now, Chris Columbus originally wrote Gremlins as a horror film, but somehow he ended up changing his mind. I don't know at what stage Joe Dante came on board, but together that film is a true classic and among my favorites. But so is Who Framed Roger Rabbit, which maybe doesn't stand up quite as well to today's effects. Some of the compositing of the 2D animation with the live action comes off a bit rough on a today's watch. I know it's part of the charm, but viewers these days can be really nitpicky. They always were, but there's nitpicky and then calling something bad because you don't think it's perfect. And Gremlins just doesn't have those problems as I could see it. So what I want to do here is just take a look at some of the best of the older classic films and two directors who really impacted that market, Joe Dante and Robert Zemeckis, in this episode. And just a comparison artistically of their works. I think how you measure quality is very subjective. A cult classic could be as popular and or successful as mainstream success. Like a quantitative measure could be how many people own the film legally. And it's just my estimation, but I think more people would own cult classics than own mainstream movies in many cases. For example, and this is just a guess, I haven't done the research, Gladiator and Killer Clowns from Outer Space. I think more people own Killer Clowns than own Gladiator. Probably more people have heard of Gladiator, and I'm probably wrong. This is a conclusion I've pulled out of the air based on experience, instinct, and belief, which can come from both own values and environment. Doing the research does matter, though. Data research I've done in the past has revealed interesting conclusions I hadn't guessed, confirmed assumptions, and in some cases conflicted with what I thought in surprising ways, such as the impact of companies like Makey Makey, Minecraft, and Media Molecule, and 6 other similar businesses, measured as estimated yearly revenue, equaling the Disney Channel or Universal Studios. That's true, that's based on data. So the first one I want to do is Who Framed Roger Rabbit versus Gremlins. And in the next episode, I want to have a look at Castaway versus The Burbs. And these are my personal choices. So starting with Who Framed Roger Rabbit, my favorite things about Who Framed Roger Rabbit are, first the twist, i.e. the villain. The way this was done was miles better than most of the latest blockbuster villains. From Green Lantern 2011, I think, to Endgame, to even Snyder's Justice League, and the new Star Wars sequels and prequels. The list goes on. The villain is just in character development and shock factor far superior to any of those big movie villains that are way more recent. Even like Deadpool and the X-Men First Class series and the X-Men First movies as well, the villains just do not stand up to the Who Framed Roger Rabbit villain, which I'm not going to spoil. The combination of 2D animation and live action is another strength. I know I said some people may think its imperfections don't stand up to today's standards, but just the way it's done is brilliant. The visual storytelling, for starters, the baby with the cigar at the beginning, the transition from toon to reel, the way the live actors interact with the toons purely as if they're real. And all the storytelling is pretty seamless. I only think the technical stuff is not as perfect as if it were made today, but does that matter? Another great thing about it is the skewed film noir is a setting for the real story, the buddy relationship between the PI, played by Bob Hoskins, and Roger Rabbit. The genre mixing here was brilliant. Bob Hoskins, always exceptional as a character actor. Almost a cartoon himself, and with that dark undercurrent of hate because his brother was killed by a toon. so it's got a mystery to it, which feeds that film noir parody almost. The humor with the toons, they're so annoying but so lovable. It's interesting that cartoons used to be all about humor. Nowadays, there's so much more variety to animation, not just comedy. Now, weaknesses, the only thing I can think of is technical imperfections. Bob Hoskins' back and forth, for example, with Roger Rabbit, when he has to do the slapstick stuff and it comes off as awkward, which is in character in a sense, but sometimes I feel like it's not aware of how awkward he is at it, or we are not aware. It's too subtle. Whereas the rest of the film is incredibly self-aware, way pre-Deadpool, and that's one of its greatest strengths because of the blend of toon parody and film noir-esque plot joke. I mean, to be fair, it does kind of feel like just a really dark cartoon, which is great in my opinion, because it does that without breaking the reel. Structurally and plot-wise, it's perfect as well. The visual storytelling is probably its greatest strength, along with the characterizations and character development of all the toons. None of them even feel like bit players, no matter how short their appearance. Okay, thank you for watching. Like if you like. Please consider subscribing. I pop up videos on Thursdays and bi-weekly. And if you want to talk about something I've discussed, please leave a comment and I'll try to get back to you. Thanks very much. Bye.